All right, so we are here with our top 10 favorite films of the decade. So we were going to do top 10 best, but I honestly haven't seen enough to do it because I kind of stray away from modern film a lot of the times. So he's better with the top 10 or whatever.
I'm going to do the top 25 movies of the decade.
He can do that.
You're going to fucking hate me.
Oh boy. All right. So this is a biased list, our top 10 favorites. We both have one, so we'll probably have a lot of repeats, but, you know.
Actually, I don't think we will. I'm pretty sure we won't.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm the more artsy of the group. All right, go ahead and start off your number 10.
My number 10, film of the decade, or favorite film of the decade. I want to say this before I get into this. He hated this film. He hated the idea of this film, and I made him watch it, and he fucking loved it. So I don't want to hear shit from you.
Let me guess. Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Tucker and Dale versus Evil. It's so fucking great. It's so fucking funny. It's like a dark comedy. For those of you who haven't seen it before, Tucker and Dale versus Evil is basically like this dark, twisted comedy about these two guys who look like they're just like hillbilly redneck serial killers, and they're going out to the woods, and there's this group of teenagers, like college kids, going up to the fucking woods for the weekend. And you kind of think it's like, oh, they're going to kill all these kids. And it completely switches everything you know about slasher films and just redneck murder horror films on its ass. And it's a great time. It's one of the funniest movies. If you like dark humor, you will fucking love it.
Which is why we liked it.
It's got my favorite kill scene in any movie.
Any movie in history.
Any comedic kill scene.
Okay, all right.
No, I mean, not say murder, just like action, because there's a lot better scenes and stuff.
Okay. My number 10 would be Joker. I almost didn't put it on this list, but, you know, I really hate what comic book films have become, namely the MCU. So this was refreshing for me. I loved every ounce of this film. I rated this 5 out of 5, which I don't do very often. I actually have a few 5 out of 5s on here.
So do I.
I think half my list, so that's surprising.
I think I've got 3 on my list.
Yeah, there you go. But, yeah, you know, we can also give kind of what our ratings were, too.
Yeah.
You know, this film I thought was perfect for what it was trying to be. And I love the darkness of it. I love the portrayal. I also have 2 Joaquin Phoenix films on this list. So,
that's surprising.
You know, to me, he's the best actor right now.
He's great.
What's your number 9?
Number 9 is Don't Breathe. I love Don't Breathe. I thought it was a really good claustrophobic type of movie.
You spelled breathe wrong.
You know, what the fuck is wrong? I was writing. He's pressuring me the fucking right, so he's like, come on, get your last spot on the list.
I wasn't, no.
Yeah, he fucking was.
No.
I was shy for the camera.
Don't Breathe. I thought it was good, but I wouldn't put it on my list.
I loved it. I like Dylan Minnette. I think he's a really good actor. I think he's a really underrated actor. Stephen Lang in the film gives probably one of my favorite lines of the decade, which is, once a man gives up his belief in God, he can do anything.
That's just very true.
It's one of my favorite moments is I posted that online the one time, and everyone's like, oh my God, that's so powerful. One person got it, and he's just like, no, you don't fucking understand what it means. You don't understand the context. And everyone's like, no, you're just fucking crazy.
Okay, my number 9 is Arrival.
Love that film.
I went in completely blind to it. I remember we were sitting in the Target parking lot.
I forced you to go.
Yeah. And I ended up really loving it. You know, the ending is just perfect in every way. Didn't give this a 5, but...
Well, I don't think it deserved a 5. It was really good, though.
Oh, yeah. It's just one of those films that reminded me why I fell in love with film in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, I remember you didn't want to go. We wanted to go to the movies, and I had already seen it. And I was like, I knew you'd love it. I knew it was like your style of film. Mm-hmm. So I talked him into it, and here we are.
Yep.
Okay, my number 8 is Sicario. I absolutely love this film. It's another one of those films that has another one of my favorite lines in it, which is, it's time to meet God. Which the context of that scene is just beautiful. Honestly, though, it's a really, really good film. And I love Benicio del Toro in the film. Have you seen Sicario?
Nope. I don't like action films.
It's not an action film, though. It's not an action film. That's honestly, it's a drama and stuff. But it is great. Benicio del Toro is probably one of the best performances of his career, if not the best performance of his career. And it's such a powerful movie. Yeah, I have it at number 8.
All right, time to piss people off. Number 8, Mother. Highly controversial film, and a lot of people either loved it or hated it. I loved it. I absolutely love this film.
I still need to see Mother.
Yeah, you need to. I think it's a must-watch. The symbolism, it's just literally an hour and a half of symbolism. It shows the flaws of religion. It tells you what it's done to nature. It's about a lot of things. It's mostly about religion, nature, and just human nature and humanity, and how flawed of creatures humanity really, really is. So, what's your number 7?
Number 7 is Mandy, which is a film you and I completely differ on. Which ironically is because you love symbolism.
Yeah.
He cares all he cares about is symbols. That's like his number one thing. I like symbolism. I enjoy symbolism. I think it's very important. But if everything else works, I can give 2 fucks about it. This is a film that's literally all symbolism. It's an acid trip for fucking like 2 hours of just fucking pure fucking symbolism. It's beautiful. And he fucking hates it.
I hate this fucking film. I think it's so poorly done.
Oh, it's so beautifully done.
It felt like a 5th grader shot it and wrote it.
You're a monster.
I hated everything about it.
I love the cinematography to it, too. I think it's beautifully shot. It's beautiful. I mean...
The lighting's good.
The lighting's phenomenal.
I'll give it that.
It's a really good film, though. And Nicolas Cage, in my opinion, has the best performance of his career. And
that's not saying
much. Yes, it is. Nicolas Cage before 2001 was spot on, and then he took every fucking role afterwards.
That's like saying Tommy Wiseau, his best film is The Room. His best performance.
It's Big Shark. It's going to be coming out soon.
I don't want to see
We're seeing Big Shark. We're seeing Big Shark.
All right. My number 7, Lady Bird. Have you seen Lady Bird?
I have not. I still want to see Lady Bird. I've seen like 2 clips from it, and the scenes I saw from it were fucking beautiful.
Oh, I love this film. This is one of the ones I saw in theaters, and I'd probably give it a 5. I think it's the perfect coming of age film. It feels very 80s in a lot of ways, which I love. I'm a guilty pleasure for 80s teen films.
Good question. What the fuck happened this decade with like our return to like the 80s? Because everyone's just like...
Because they realize modern film is shit.
No, but it's like it's like everybody seemingly became obsessed with the 80s again. It's like that gonna happen for the next decade, for this decade, because we're in this decade now, and stuff for like the 90s. We're gonna get 90s stuff.
Hopefully,
that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I fucking love 90s.
I'd rather the 60s come back.
It's fun. I'll do trips for everyone.
That's not why. Okay.
Only me? My bad, guys.
What's your number 6?
Wonder I love Mandy. You have to like Mandy. Have to go on LSD. Number 6 is The Big Short, which is a really damn good film. The Big Short is probably my favorite performance, in all honesty, of the decade. It's by Steve Carell. And the reason it's probably my favorite performance of the decade is because Steve Carell is notorious for being a comedic actor.
Well, Michael Scott is my favorite TV character of all time, so...
Well, I mean, for me, I feel like, Steve Carell, when he's in these dramatic roles, is just phenomenal. He's spot on. And it's kind of like, it's in a sense of like, it's like Adam Sandler or, who's another comedian who's done serious roles in the past? I'm trying to think, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. It's like, fucking Will Ferrell. He's done.
I was gonna say him, but yeah.
I mean, it's actors who do dramatic roles and stuff who are known for comedy, and it's really refreshing. Plus, I mean, it just, The Big Short's also just, an awesome film in the sense that it shows, how everyone at the top is just fucking us repeatedly.
All right, my number 6 is Before Midnight. My all-time favorite trilogy is the Before trilogy, and Before Midnight, I would give a 5 out of 5. It's a great conclusion to the trilogy, although it makes you want a hell of a lot more. You know, I love Richard Linklater. He's on this list again here pretty soon. But, you know, I just think this is a phenomenal film. Check it out. What's your number 5?
Number 5, which you're going to definitely hate me for this one.
Oh, boy.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Okay, I just didn't like the ending.
So
I like the rest of the film.
I love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Honestly, one of my favorite films of this year, too. I mean, obviously, because it's on this list. But
Really?
Still, but, you know, hey. I fucking hate you. But no, it's honestly just a really good film. I mean, the soundtrack is probably the best soundtrack in a film all year for me. I think the tone, it sets the tone perfectly. And, I mean, cinematography's good. The dialogue's actually really good. But it's Tarantino. Tarantino always does a good job. Really love the ending. I know you hate the ending. The ending's probably one of my favorite scenes. I've watched it, you know, over probably about, you know, 100 to 200 times since I saw it. I saw it in theaters twice and stuff because after I saw it, I had to go back and see it again because it was one of those movies that's just like, this is fucking great.
Yeah, I loved it until the ending.
Also with that, I think Brad Pitt honestly does. This has like been a really good year for Brad Pitt and stuff. Like Brad Pitt had that and Ad Astra, and I feel like it's like kind of like just like a resurgence for him a little bit because I feel like the last, like at least in recent years, he's been in some movies, but they haven't necessarily like really stuck the ground. Stuck the landing, you know what I mean? Hit the ground. It doesn't matter.
We're gonna stick the ground with my number 5. That would be Shutter Island. I saw this in theaters. Absolutely blown away. I read the book actually after I saw the film many times, and I highly recommend reading the book. It gives you a lot of good context to the film. You know, I love DiCaprio, and this is one of my favorite films of his. Mark Ruffalo is good in it. You have Ben Kingsley, great cast, and it's, you know, keeps you at the end of your seat. And I just love the intelligence. You know, they use psychology really well in this film. You know, like, you know, just I don't want to ruin the ending for this one. You know, this is one time I won't give a spoiler away, just in case you haven't seen the end of this film.
It's been out for so many years, but you know,
Hey, we might have some younger viewers on here, okay? They might not have seen it.
For all you young kids out there, fuck. And we just got demonetized.
Oh, we're already not monetized.
Still.
What's your number 4?
Number 4 is Silver Linings Playbook.
Okay.
Honestly, I remember sitting. I don't remember a movie I saw this in, but I remember this conversation with my dad and stuff. I remember sitting in a movie theater, and the trailer came on. And after the trailer, seeing the trailer for the first time, I was sitting, my dad looked at me and he said, "That's gonna be one of the best movies ever made." And I really don't disagree with him. It's a really powerful film. Jennifer Lawrence and Bradley Cooper give excellent performances. I think is De Niro in that film as well?
Oh, I haven't seen it.
I think De Niro's in the film. I think he plays the dad, if I remember correctly, which is again just another performance. But Bradley Cooper is just outstanding in this film. And for those who don't really know much about it, basically the film follows Bradley Cooper, who he was a teacher, and he's getting out of a mental hospital or institution, whatever the hell you want to call it. Basically, what had happened was he came home and found his wife was cheating on him, and he snapped and he beat the living shit out of the guy. And basically, he's got some problems up here, and he's trying to get his life back in order. He's trying to reconnect with his wife, because he wants to reconnect with his wife when he meets Jennifer Lawrence's character, who is kind of just as fucked up as he is. And because of basically mutual, I guess, needs, they kind of find themselves in this weird symbiotic relationship of things. And it's just a really good story, and I really recommend it. And it's a feel-good story, although it's not necessarily a feel-good story, if that makes sense.
I like tragedies.
Well, it kind of is a tragedy in a sense, but it's weird. That's
it's
why
beautiful tragedy. There you go.
There we go.
My number 4 would be Boyhood. If you don't know too much about this film, it's a Richard Linklater film. it's shot over the span of, God, what is it, like 11 years, somewhere around there. You follow this kid, and you just see him growing up. And it's not just like situations, it's more just sections of his life. It's like you pick a year out of his life, it just drops you in there. And you see how he's coped with a certain situation in his life, and how he's coping with his current one, and how he could cope with the next one. Every actor in this is great. You have Patricia Arquette, you have Ethan Hawke, and it just really shows the trials and tribulations of growing up. Because it has his highs, it has his lows. You can really relate to so many things in this film. Like, oh, you know, he did this when he was 10, you know, I did that when I was 10. And it's just, it really makes you want to see the next 50 years of his life. Which I really hope they can do a sequel to this. I would love to see where his life goes. And I just love the development. It's perfect character development. Like, his father in the beginning of the film is really just kind of that reckless father who doesn't quite know how to be a father. And then ends with him, you know, a beautiful scene with him and his ex-wife, because they're divorced. And they basically just tell each other they did a good job raising their son, even if they had to do it separate. Beautiful scene.
How funny would it have been if the boy would have died? Like, the actor who played him just would have died.
I'm actually surprised nobody fucking died.
Things have been pretty rough and stuff last couple of years especially. I'm just saying, it would have been really kind of funny. Okay, guys, we're almost done production.
That would have sucked.
Can you imagine how much money would have been wasted?
You're like a decade in.
Yeah, he fucking shot himself. What? Yeah, apparently had really bad depression problems? I don't know.
Childhood cancer. It got him. They're like, if we can get him through the next, 3 years, we will be perfectly fine. Then they'll have to reshoot the ending. You can just CGI him. We can do that nowadays. There's Grand Moff Tarkin his ass.
It's still the best CGI I've seen in a while.
There's let's get Peter Cushing in here. Let's Carrie Fisher his ass.
I don't think Carrie Fisher is all that good, though, in the scenes. It looked alright, but, from what I've seen, from what I saw they were capable of with Tarkin, man. I feel like it could have been better.
I don't want to talk about Star Wars.
Okay, so what am I on, number 3 then?
We've been down that road.
Am I on number 3 then?
Yes.
I'm on number 3 then. We're gonna get past before he goes fucking crazy again. Number 3, Blade Runner 2049.
Great film.
I love that film. I'm really upset though because it didn't perform as well at the box office. And because of that, we're not going to get anything else from it.
It's because general audiences like shit. They don't appreciate good film.
I mean, I know you disagree. That's a 5 out of 5 for me. That's one of the only 5s on this list.
It's close for sure. For me.
I think it's one of the only times I will actually say that you needed to experience that in the theater.
Oh yeah.
Because the sound of that film is so important, and I don't necessarily mean a soundtrack, just the sound, just the noise. Just
everything
impacts everything. It makes the scene that much better. So unless you have a personal theater, you're one of those rich fucks who can afford that. You have surround sound.
Oh, and I don't have a personal theater here. Look at this. I have a nice couch. I have a nice 32-inch, no speakers. It's great.
Poor. No, honestly though, it's a really impactful film. Plus, I think it really shows a good kind of different side of humanity to an extent. I mean, it's shot through it's not shot through, the eyes. It's the story is perceived through the eyes of a replicant, and it's just outstanding. Really fucking good movie.
This is where it gets tough because I'm shifting my list around a bit, and I did think some honorable mentions, by the way.
Oh, thank fuck! Now I can actually.
Yeah.
I had honorable mentions prepared, and he's like, I can't fucking do it.
I didn't think I had any, but yeah, I do. That was a lie. Okay, my number 3 is gonna be Her.
That's a fucking great movie.
Joaquin Phoenix, Scarlett Johansson. This, I'll never forget watching this for the first time. This is a heartbreaking film. Joaquin Phoenix, like I said, he's my favorite modern actor, probably. And it's a film basically about falling in love with your with what could be perceived as artificial intelligence. It's a form of it. And really just kind of shows what would happen if you fell in love with Siri. Honestly, like it's a good comparison. And just the emotion that goes into this, the process of the relationship, how it affects his life, how it affects his friends. You see how people perceive him for being in a relationship with
An
an AI. Yeah. It's more just, it's an AI assistant, we'll put it that way.
Yeah.
And this assistant basically, tries her best to give him what he needs. And, at the end of the day, it fails. And you see why it fails and how it affects him. Just phenomenal film.
Yeah. What, number 2 then?
Yep.
Number 2. This film, I'm really upset because it's another one of those films that just, it's really fucking good and just didn't do well enough at the box office. But it's like borderline. So I hope it gets a sequel because it sets up perfectly for a sequel, and that's The Nice Guys. I know you haven't seen that film.
No.
I really recommend it.
What is that? Is it a comedy?
It is, but it isn't. It's more than just a comedy.
I'm not the biggest comedy person.
Let me put this in perspective. This is a film that pisses me off because guess who directed this film?
Shane Black.
Shane Black. Shane Black has directed 2 of the biggest pieces of shit I have ever seen. That's The Predator, not to be confused with the classic fucking masterpiece of Predator, but The Predator and Iron Man 3, which are 2 of the biggest pieces of shit I have ever seen. And then we have this film, which is a fucking flawless film. It's a 5 out of 5. And it's fucking beautiful, and it's like, you have potential. What is your problem, you dick?
What I find it funny, because I'm a Monty Python type of person.
It's beautiful. It's very funny. It's not just like, it's not MCU humor. It's
good.
Yeah, thankfully, it's humor that like actually you have to be intelligent. And there's you would get a huge just giggle out of the fucking
Giggle?
giggle. I don't know.
What is this, the giggle hour? Oh, God.
I'm a fucking monster, but it's okay.
I'm too lazy to edit that out. That giggle is staying in there.
It's fine. No, so, no, you would get a huge kick out of, like, the side story of it, because it's just, there's so many stories going on, and there's so many great performances going on, including a great villain performance by one of my favorite actors, Keith David. Fun story for you. One time at a convention for horror movies, I was standing right next to Keith David, but I didn't realize Keith David was supposed to be there because he wasn't advertised at all, and I heard his voice. And if you've ever heard Keith David's voice, you know he's the sexiest sounding motherfucker in the world. And all I hear is his voice. It's Keith Davidness glory. And I'm like, I look up and I see his stand. I'm like, holy shit! No, it was, holy fucking shit! Keith David's right here! And I was a foot away from him, and he looked at me, and I looked at him, and I just ran because, there's no coming back from that. There's never any coming back from that. So, Keith David, if you ever watch this video, I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry.
That's also the same day Jamie Kennedy got the shits of us.
Fucking,
That's a story for a different time.
It's a great day.
Oh my God.
Christ.
Alright, my number 2, I would say, is Whiplash.
Oh, I love that film.
J.K. Simmons and Miles Teller. I'm not really a fan of Miles Teller, to be honest, but he is phenomenal in this film. And J.K. Simmons is phenomenal. This is one of those films that made me cry because of how good it was. My number 1 on this list also did that. And the ending to this film, the final, good 20 minutes, is just masterful. If I could give this higher than a 5, I would.
It's like the anti-room.
There's only one film I've ever given higher than a 5, and that's 12 Angry Men. I don't know how, I just did. It's my favorite film. So, this was just, it took me forever to see this, too. And I regretted not seeing it in theaters.
I remember we were talking about it, too, because I remember we were talking about it, because it tends to be how certain films slip through the cracks with him. Because I will see literally anything out in theaters. I don't care. I just like going to the movies.
I'm just so bitter towards modern film, so I don't see everything in theaters. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, honorable mentions.
You want me to go first? Or you want to go first?
Why don't we just go every other?
That's fine with me.
Dallas Buyers Club.
Green Book.
John Wick.
Deadpool.
Sinister.
Logan.
Logan, for sure.
Dark Walters. Dog Walters.
I was like, what the hell is that?
The dog Walters.
Cats, because it broke me.
Cats was great. I love Spotlight.
Spotlight, I would put.
I love Spotlight. I'm actually kind of surprised that didn't make my list.
It was almost on my list.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of those that just should have been higher, but just there's so many good films. Oh no, I forgot one. I forgot my number one.
What's your number one?
You're gonna be so pissed off at me.
Oh god.
So anyway, I have to move everything down the list.
Oh come on.
I can't.
How did you? That's your favorite film of all time.
I don't know. I forgot it. It's literally the second thing on all those lists. I came for literally like
where's Deadpool?
Hundreds of Deadpool was an honorable mention for me.
Okay.
I literally went for like hundreds of movies that have come out in the last decade. I like narrowed this down to this like list of 50 and stuff for us to like kind of like pull from a little bit. And it's my favorite film. And it's like literally the second thing I wrote on this list. And I forgot it. So my new number 2 now is John Wick, which in my opinion is the finest action film to come out outside maybe The Raid, which also came out this decade, in the last like 30 years.
John Wick was almost on my list too.
I love John Wick.
And I don't like action films.
He
so
doesn't.
for the fact that I put John Wick on my list almost.
That's another one of those films where he refused to watch it. He refused to watch it. And I made him finally watch. I ambushed you the one night. I'm like, hey, we're gonna watch this movie, and you're like, sure. And then it's like, it's John Wick, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And then we saw John Wick 2. We're the only people in the theaters.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'm good on honorable mention.
Just for last, like 3, Joker, Interstellar, Mad Max, Fury Road.
Number 1 for me is Interstellar. I saw this in theaters, and it was one of the greatest experiences of my life.
It's a beautiful movie.
I'm surprised it didn't make your list.
If we're talking about just pure, just content-wise and just quality-wise, it's clearly a top 10 film of the decade, if not top 5. But personal favorites, there are other films that I like better than Interstellar. I appreciate it more than other films, and I appreciate what it is, especially Matthew McConaughey's performance.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I would quite give it a 5, but it's my favorite film of the decade for sure.
Yeah, it's an excellent film.
Do you want to talk about your new number 1?
Yes. So shifting from that to all right. There's no point for that. I'm just an idiot.
Oh, that was horrible. Just name your number 1.
My number 1 is Cloud Atlas. I'm sure there are some people watching this video and they're like,
I don't know how you forgot this.
well, I know, right? But I'm sure this movie is like really controversial at the time. It did not do great.
I understand why.
It's too before its time.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's too before its time. This is in my opinion, one of the greatest films ever made. It's my personal favorite film of all time. Honestly,
Is it better than 12 Angry Men? Don't say yes.
You see me fighting.
Don't say yes.
Let me put this in perspective. 12 Angry Men might be the greatest film. It's probably the greatest film of all time.
It's one of the few films I'll consider perfect.
I don't think it's better, but it's close.
That's all I needed to hear.
It's close, though. And the reason I say it's close is because basically what Cloud Atlas is, I can't necessarily give a synopsis of the story because it's 6 smaller stories that are going on simultaneously. And
They're interwoven.
They're all intertwined. And it's basically showing that everything is... It's connected. Everything's connected. And it's really beautiful. I think there are certain stories that definitely stand out compared to some of the others. The Robert Frobisher storyline, in my opinion, is the best in the film. Hence where the name Cloud Atlas comes, because it comes from his storyline in writing this piece of music called the Cloud Atlas Sextet.
Yeah, that was my favorite storyline out of the 6.
Also has probably my favorite... It has one of my favorite monologues of all time. is his monologue. I don't want to spoil it. This is like you even shut around. I don't want to spoil it because it's a very...
Oh, but you make fun of me because it came out, 2011? Only a year later?
Ooh!
Dick.
No, it's got one of the most powerful scenes, I think. Probably any film. I don't know if you'd agree with that or not.
One of, yeah.
Yeah. Soundtrack's outstanding for it, though. I mean, honestly, it's just a really beautiful movie. Other thing you need to understand with this, though, just because I don't think it's necessarily, said with it, though, which is that all of the actors, again, these are 6 different periods of time. All of the actors play different characters in these different storylines.
And I love how you have to look for some of the actors.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you have to be paying attention. They're not all 6, it's not all the same main characters. Like, there might be a slight cameo of one actor, and then the other story, they're the main focus.
Exactly.
I love that. It's subtlety.
It's honestly just really beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so... It's so unfortunate when it came out, because a lot of the actors have actually come out and said they were doing the film, which is
that's
unfortunate,
sad.
Because it's a beautiful piece of art. Mm-hmm. And now, I mean, actually in the last 2 or 3 years, people have actually started to come around to it already, which I'm kind of surprised by, personally speaking. But I think it's just,
Well, I mean, there's a lot of films in history that weren't seen
Shining
as masterful. Well, The Shining is my second favorite film of all time. So,
I mean, The Shining was, when it came out, was, critics fucking hated it.
Empire Strikes Back was hated. There's a lot of films. But that'll about do it for our lists. Let us know yours down below. And as long as there's no MCU films on your list, I will be happy. I'd accept Star Wars, the sequel trilogy, over the MCU, personally.
Oh, fuck you.
I would accept it.
You're a fucking monster.
Yeah, I am.
Oh, God.
But on that note, peace out.
You stay frosty, San Diego.